would target. This is like the worst thing that I can tell you so far. And the death of my uncle, who was shot. We tried to save him, but he died 2 days after he arrived to the hospital, actually.
Buenos dias. Doing the little tour finally. Comuna 13, famous slum in Medellín. Very popular. Supposed to start at 9 o'clock. But of course, we're in Latin America, so hopefully start by 9:20. Got myself a nice little black coffee. Should be good. I want to see some action, some energy. I heard it's really cleaned up, really safe. You know, Hakuna Matata, but I want to see life. That's what I want.
Total of 20 neighborhoods here in Comuna 13. Right? If you look around you, you can see many mountains. All of these mountains full of houses. These are the different neighborhoods of Comuna 13. Guys, right now we're gonna go around the train station. We're gonna catch the bus and we're gonna take to Machaje neighborhood. We're gonna visit this area too. What have you heard about this place? What do you know about Comuna 13? Yes and no. Yes, because many of the drugs that were being sold here were brought from Pablo Escobar's money and all of this, but he was never here in this area of the city, and he never controlled this area of the city. So yes and no. Yeah. And many people say that he was born here. Not true. That he died here. Not true. He died in another area of the city. What about you? What do you know about this place?
I just know that it's like very safe now. And it's that it used to be very violent.
That's correct, right? We used to have all these people in these neighborhoods, the criminals fighting against each other to control the area. Now it's safe for us to walk around. The comunas are districts. Which one are you in? Maybe Laureles, Poblado, maybe? Poblado, you too?
Laureles.
Laureles. Let me show you a map of the city so that you have an idea about what I'm talking about. So you can visually, let's say, locate yourself.
Oops, oh, that was fast.
Yeah. Here it is, guys. This is Medellín map, okay? This is the divisions that we have in the city. This is the comunas. People who are still missing and families have not found those people's bodies, and a lot of women who were also sexually abused during the military operation. The idea of the tour, guys, is to combine art and history. Okay, so you're going to be looking at specific walls that I'm going to show you, so I can talk about the meaning of those paintings on the walls, what the local artists from different neighborhoods want to tell you about their life experiences. Okay, most of the artists are around my age, 28 to maybe 35 years old. Okay. And they were here during the military operations. And some of them are still living in the neighborhood that we're going to visit. Right? Guys, the bus ride is going to be included in your tour. Okay? It's going to be a 5 to 10 minute ride on the bus. Okay? You can come this way.
Had the bus included. Nice.
Guerrillas, they promoted or supported extreme political groups or political ideas, socialism, communism. And paramilitary groups, they dress like this also. They also have camouflage clothes and this type of boots, but they support the extreme right movement. Right? In our country, guys, the violence between guerrilla groups and paramilitary groups became even worse. And they also started affecting civilians. They started kidnapping people to request their families for money. They started taking the people's lands, using their coffee plantations and growing cocaine instead of coffee. And that's the result, guys. We have what we call a forced displacement. Have you ever heard about this? People are forced to leave their lands, give their lands to the criminal groups. And they start coming to the big cities with any belongings that they can carry, right? They started building up there. In many cases, they started using wood in case they were really poor. But some people, they could afford to build their houses with bricks, right? Nowadays, you can see that all the houses are made from bricks material. And since the 1970s, the government started the legalization process of the houses up there. So those houses are not illegal anymore. But we still have this conception and we still call it illegal settlements, right? Because they were at some time, okay? This is just so you guys know where we are today, so that you know why these people are living up there, okay? Because when we get to Machaje neighborhood, it's also a place that used to be an illegal settlement. You're gonna see houses on top of houses and those houses on top of other houses, okay? Is this clear, guys?
Yep.
Right.
All the missing people from the troubled past. Jeez. Sad, sad. Oh, wow.
And the last one was in October 2002, okay? The last two operations, Marshall and Orion, number 23 and number 24, are the biggest ones, but at the same time very controversial, because we were able to get some photographs of how the government was working along with the paramilitary groups against the guerrillas in this area. And we had the tanks and helicopters, okay? What you see here, guys, is two pictures that were taken during the 23rd military operation, Marshall, okay? Which officially started on the 21st of May 2002, okay? Beginning at 3 in the morning and lasted for 12 consecutive hours until 3 p.m. And everybody knows it because it was the first time that we had military tanks in this area. Do you guys think the tanks can get to the neighborhoods up there?
Just roll through them.
No,
No.
no.
Very difficult, right? They were on the bottom normally. And you can see the tanks here as the picture shows you. They were pointing towards the top, okay? On the top is where most of the guerrilla groups, gang members would be. So they could have an advantage, right?
Yeah.
So they could shoot from the top and control everything. And unfortunately, guys, we never knew when a military operation would begin. So there were some people that were outside on the street. Some people were in their houses. Some people were going to school, right? And we were here in the middle of the crossing fire. The army down here starting the operation, going upwards slowly, and the criminals already here. 7 square kilometers, right? How many neighborhoods, remember?
13?
20 neighborhoods, okay? And the government reports only 9 innocent civilians who lost their life this day. But they don't provide a report of where they found those bodies, which neighborhoods. Maybe the bodies were able to be taken to the hospitals. We don't have specific reports. So it's hard to believe that only 9 people lost their life, okay? We know that the number is maybe at least 50 or more. And something the government doesn't talk about is the missing people. We have 56 people who are missing from this operation, guys. And we believe they are dead, okay? What we believe would be the last one was just the beginning. This is just the beginning of something much bigger. Orion operation, which is the biggest one, 24, okay? The government idea and intention was to fully eliminate guerrillas no matter what they did, right? And they started preparing our next operation, guys. The government was coming here to fully eliminate 4 guerrilla groups from Comuna 13. Do you recognize any of the guerrilla groups here?
Fuck.
FARC. They still exist. This is why you know them. But we also have another one. Do you know who is FARC fighting against? ELN. These two are still active. They fight against each other. They smuggle drugs, weapons, kidnap people, right? And apart from these two, we also had CAP and EPL. The word that we had for these groups was urban militias, guerrilla groups, okay? Guys, the government wanted to make sure that nobody from this group survived the operations. And this is how we have 24th operation, Orion. These pictures, guys, were from Orion. Okay?
Orion.
O-R-I-O-N.
Orion. Okay.
You can see it here.
Yeah, okay.
An operation, guys, that lasted for 11 days. Okay?
11 days.
Starting on October 16, 2002 and ending on the 27th.
I suppose that people stay in their home.
No, we had to continue with normal life.
Ah.
We had to continue with normal life. We continue going to school. We continue everything while the
Okay.
operations were taking place, right? Because who's gonna pay for your rent and your utility bills if you don't work? Nobody.
They try to avoid civilians or protect.
We had safe areas, they call it, or
Oh,
safe
yeah?
pathways that people could use at specific moments,
Okay.
right? So one day, for example, hey, if you want to go to school, you work around here, it's safe, or the army would protect the children to go to school. but we had to continue in the middle of the shootings, right? First 3 days of the operation, guys, 16, 17, and 18, we had the tanks and the helicopters here. 2 helicopters, 2 tanks. The rest of the week, guys, we had the army, 1,500 members of the army, along with paramilitary groups. We don't know how many paramilitary members were here. Okay? The paramilitary members, guys, are like mercenaries. They fight against guerrillas, right? But they are also nowadays very corrupt people since the 1980s. Do you recognize this person?
No.
He was in the Narcos, wasn't he?
He was
Yeah.
in the narco shows
Yeah.
from Netflix. That's correct. His name is Don Berna. A very bad man, also very important in the history because he's responsible for around 300 of the 500 missing people here. Right?
Does he
Is he
head
still
up
alive?
the paramilitary?
Yeah, he was a leader of the paramilitaries
Is
at
he
some
still
time.
alive?
I think he's in the United States right now.
Oh, no.
Prison. For
Nice.
the rest of his
In
life.
prison.
In prison? Oh, good.
And guys, they were here working with the army, collaborating against guerrillas, and we have some photographic proof about this. The man that you see here covering his face with a mask is the paramilitary leader. Okay? You can see this is the soldiers, they have a helmet, they have their corresponding weapon. You can also see another picture here. You can see that the boots that he's wearing are very different to the rest of the soldiers' boots. He's leading the operation and he's pointing at specific houses where they believe guerrilla members were. Right? The paramilitary groups, they started giving money to locals so they could provide information, become informants to where they believe guerrilla members could live. How did they know this? Guys, in many cases we had curfews in this area, right? A curfew means don't go outside of your house after 10 p.m., right? So if your neighbor goes outside at 11 p.m. but nobody can leave the house, then you start to think that maybe they're part of a guerrilla group, right? Guys, in many occasions during the last operation, we know that they started killing innocent people also. Because the government, as a way to fully eliminate guerrillas, they started to give money to the soldiers and the paramilitaries. The more guerrilla members they killed, the more money they will receive from the government.
What did the guerrillas want to achieve? Like, what were they trying to...
Well, originally in the 1940s when they started was to fight against the government to promote socialism and communism. But this time the story was different. They just wanted the highway and control the whole area for drugs.
For drugs.
Okay?
So the cartel was on both sides?
Cartel was not here.
Okay.
Cartel was from Pablo. Let's just move a little bit because there's a mosquito that's been bothering me a lot.
Yeah, same here.
Same you? Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Keep
And I didn't
going
bring
on
my
my
free.
ears.
What percentage of the community was aligned with the guerrillas?
Well, we had guerrillas recruiting a lot of teenage boys. Okay, we had a lot of people who were, let's say, in favor of guerrillas because when they started coming here, it's following us. When they started coming here, the guerrillas were giving a lot of things to people. They used to come here with trucks full of food or clothes, you know. So 50-50. Not everybody who was in favor of communism was necessarily a guerrilla member. Okay, guys, what was your question? Did I answer your
It's like
question?
how the drugs factor into the paramilitary.
Oh yeah, you
and
talked
the-
about cartels.
Yeah.
The Medellín cartel was not in control of this area, but of course they provide some of the drugs
Yeah.
for this place. Okay, so this is it, guys. I'm gonna leave it here for now, guys. In our next stop, I'm going to talk about the missing people from the last operation, and also how many people were killed. Okay, we're going to talk about what happened the years after the last military operation, which is called the post-conflict years, when the government was able to get rid of the guerrillas, but they left the gangs here, which are still here. But we're going to analyze why this area, even with the gangs, is one of the safest area in our city at the moment. Okay, is it clear so far, guys?
It's a nice cemetery. Reminds me of one in Mexico, the above ground ones. They decorated it really nice. But yeah, our guy Juan was living in the commune until, you say 2004. He's 28 or 29. So hopefully he's got some good memories, or his memory is good because he's around like 6 or 8. And he can talk about his experience during it. Oh wow, this is cool.
Let's try
Heading up to Juan's neighborhood he grew up in.
Sure. From the 24th operation, we have evidence that during this operation, and maybe more, the government collaborated with the paramilitary groups. They were getting money to kill guerrillas, and instead they were also killing innocent people, right? Remember the men with the mask pointing at the houses? They would go inside those people's houses, in many cases, bring any man that they saw from the inside of those houses.
And women too?
Women, no. Why not women? Why do you think they were not looking for women? Because statistically, guerrillas were conformed mostly by men, okay? Women were victims of what? Who remembers? Sexual assault, okay? Lined up on the street, they have normal everyday clothes. Some guerrillas would disguise with normal everyday clothes. Gang members wear these clothes, and innocent people. Here, it's hard to tell who is who, right? Guys, when they went inside the houses to look for guerrilla members, they were supposed to look for evidence that could serve as proof that those men they were going to kill were really part of a guerrilla group. What would you look for inside somebody's house as guerrilla
Arms,
evidence?
arms,
Arms, weapons, drugs, uniforms,
money.
large amount of cash money, walkie-talkies, guerrilla symbolism, but they didn't. They knew that they were going to get paid, and they were going to execute these people to make them look and count as the guerrilla members they killed, right? Guys, they would normally take off their clothes.
Innocent. They were
Innocent people,
innocent.
right? They would normally take off their clothes,
Wait,
burn
wait,
their
not all
clothes.
are innocent. Some of them were
Some
guerrillas.
of them, yeah. Here, some, not all, but many. We have 502 guys from all the operations, but that's a big number, including the ones you saw in the pictures over there, right? They were going to be undressed, and they had to dress the bodies up with guerrilla camouflage clothes, right? So they could convince the
okay.
government.
Okay.
Where's that picture? Here it is. They had to dress up the bodies like this. Maybe some camouflage on their top, maybe some pants, or very simply, this type of boots that guerrillas are known for using, right? Guys, the missing people are dead people who were killed in exchange of money, right? This is why they're missing, right? People who are killed and they are in the cemetery or something, we know how they died. These people, they were mostly tortured, right? And they were buried in a place that we call the mass graveyard of Comuna 13, right?
And
Which is
where
this
that
place right
happening?
here. This is the mass graveyard, guys. Let me show you. It is a place that we had used for many years to do the excavations for the construction materials of the houses here since the 1950s. Also, when the government were still illegal settlements, they didn't come here to do the sanitation, to recollect the garbage and trash. So we threw a lot of trash there and any leftover materials from construction. But nowadays, guys, we know that the bodies could be here. Between
Did
2000,
did they try to find them?
yeah, between 2002, guys, until now, the government has been there only one time. The search started in November 2024.
Oh,
So that means it took the government 22 years to start looking for bodies. What do you think took the government so much?
They don't want to face the truth.
They didn't want to admit the truth.
Yeah.
And all of the presidents, they say, that we had at that moment, they were from the right political movement. Many of them promoted the paramilitary groups, which are also responsible for this. Our current president, guys, has finally allowed the search, right? Because in 2016, the president wanted to do the search of Comuna 13 bodies, but the mayor of Medellín did not allow it.
oh,
Most likely because he's connected with everything that happened, right? Guys, since November, so it's like 3 months. In the last 3 months, since the search has started, they have found 5 different people's body parts. They didn't find a full body or a skeleton.
oh.
And the bodies have
parts.
not been identified yet, right? We're asking families to provide some sort of DNA, maybe a t-shirt, an old toothbrush, anything that belonged or used to be from these people, so that we can try our best to identify those bodies, right? You're gonna see this place later, or you probably saw it already.
Yeah, on the mountains.
It's on the mountains, it's still there. But something you see now that you don't see in this picture from 2023, a really old picture, is the white tent. Right now we have some white tents, and it's the government looking for the bodies. They put a white plastic tent to have some shade, to go on the floor and start digging. They don't use caterpillars or anything like that because it might destroy the evidence. They have to do it with their own hands, with shovels. Okay? So this reminds you of the past, guys. This reminds you of how violent Comuna 13 used to be. Okay? The post-conflict, guys. The post-conflict years is 2002 to 2006, when the gangs start to fight to take control of the neighborhoods that guerrillas used to control. The government finally managed to get the guerrillas out with the military operations, but they also killed a lot of innocent people on the way there. Okay, guys, hip-hop culture is extremely important here for many reasons. Number one, the hip-hop culture, breakdancing, freestyling, it allows young people to choose to do something different with their lives rather than joining a gang or selling drugs. Something that wasn't possible in the past. You couldn't do breakdancing on the street, right? You were going home, you focus on going home, try to get there as quickly as possible, try to stay away from gunshots, stray bullets, right? But nowadays, we have young people who are making money from breakdancing, right? In a moment, guys, I'm gonna take you to what I consider personally the best breakdancing group of Comuna 13.
Hola.
This shit here feels like the whole entire world collapsed. Bust around now, MLP now. What you want, what you want, what you want, what you want.
Come on.
This area, make sure you guys get some nice pictures, okay?
We're going up here?
Yeah. I'll give you a moment for pictures of this. There's a problem with her leg, so she's retired. But she sometimes comes. You see there's a white box there. She has it full of drinks and water and things like that. Like that's how she makes a living. Gets some extra money than her retirement money, which is not a lot, right? And we have a lot of things here, guys. We have a lot of sculptures. Yeah, we have a chimpanzee up there. That chimpanzee, the chimpanzee was opened 2 weeks ago. Then we have something like the Rio in Brazil, the Christ.
Corcovado.
Sorry?
Corcovado.
What is that?
That's the Christ.
Oh, okay.
On the top of the mountain.
That's the name?
Yeah, Corcovado.
And that was put 2 months ago.
Oh.
And on the top we have a woman's head.
Uh-huh.
That's from last year, right?
Wow.
After the pandemic, we noticed a lot of increase in the tourism, right? Increase of tourism. So more and more people are turning their rooftops into bars. You can see a lot of bars over there with nice viewpoints. And places like the Jesus Christ sculpture, where you go up there, you pay some money, they take some pictures, and they record some videos with drones, right?
Oh.
They what?
They record a video with the drone. There's probably a lot of drones flying here right now because people pay for that, okay? On below the chimpanzee, we have a big building. You see that building?
Yeah.
That's not like a house.
Yeah.
That's a government building. On top of that building, we have solar panels to provide the electricity for the escalators. Right? The idea is to have 100% solar power escalators, right? Because right now it's not 100%, but the government is trying to put solar panels on all the escalators, okay? Guys, let me ask you something. Well, a couple of things. If we have gangs here and they still sell drugs, then why is this place so safe?
Tourism money.
Tourism, okay.
Because
And
what?
tourism is one of the reasons. But most important, guys, before those escalators were put there, the government needed that this place was safe, right? And this is how in 2007, guys, right? 2007, the government was able to speak with the leaders of a couple of gangs here to tell them about the escalators project. But the government wanted to build some escalators to represent the change of the area. No more guerrillas, less crime. The area, it was expected to start changing, right? And we wanted people to come here. So the escalators was a perfect way to catch people's attention because many people had never used escalators between houses. The gangs come to an agreement of peace, guys. So basically, the gangs are still in different neighborhoods. They sell drugs, but they have promised to try their best not to fight against each other. Can they break the promise? Yes, of course. It can always happen that they start shooting each other. But this has stopped that from happening, right? Of course, people still die in Comuna 13. People are still killing other people. There's always homicides everywhere in the city. But you know what? At some point in history, in the 90s, Comuna 13 had 40% of all the homicides in Medellín. It's a big number.
40%.
In just a 7 square kilometer area. Criminality rate has gone down to 6.8% in the last 5 years. Big transformation, right? The escalators is one of the reasons, guys, right? Once the gangs had made this peace agreement, this is what the government starts doing. They start demolishing houses. And for the next 2 years, between 2008 and 2010, the government reports 48 houses that they demolished. But they promised to build those houses again. You see, they rebuilt it around. But nowadays, they're coffee shops, art galleries, souvenir stores, right? And an important factor or fact that the government says is that in those 48 houses, there used to be 110 families living there. That lets you know that it's a densely populated place and there's usually more than one family group in every house. And every house is made up by 2 or 3 floors, right? 2 or 3 floors, right? Guys, look up here. One Up. Do you know what this is? One Up is an international crew of graffiti artists. Okay? An international group or crew of graffiti artists. They paint all around the world. Okay? So here they were also illegally made, but they still did it. Right? And you can see it from many different places. This is what they do. One Up. You can research a little bit more about that. Okay? So not only local artists, but also international do graffiti here. Around the escalators, guys, we have no graffitis. We only have murals. The ones that tell a story, the missing people story. They talk about the government working with the paramilitary groups, right? They talk about the first wood houses, the Afro-Colombian population. And around the escalators, only locally born and raised artists can paint around there. That means if you're not from this area, you cannot paint around there, around the escalators, right? $3.7 million, guys, is how much the government invested in the escalators project, right? If you go on the internet and look for Comuna 13 pictures, you're going to see old pictures and pictures with the escalators. Right now, this view we have is one of the most popular views that you're going to find on Google, right? It's an amazing view from here, right? Guys, let me take some pictures. In case you want some pictures over there, I can take pictures.
Wait, where's your house? You said you'd show us.
Yeah, but I'll show you later.
Later. Very touristica, no danger, nice vibe. Only people from here
What does that mean, guys?
can go on this wall. Pretty, pretty. Cristo! Woo! Look at those views. $1 million views. Love that, Cristo. Look at that thing up there. A little playground or something.
There's a couple of 2004
Childhood home.
child home. This is the period when I was here, guys. This is a house that my parents built illegally.
They built it.
Illegally, right? Just like most people. First floor, we have a second terrace, and that's another house up there. The entrance to that house is the white door you see over there, right? You can see that my house has an advantage location. Other houses in front. So. An advantage location. It's protected by walls. So many people, they would normally put mattresses, furniture behind their windows to prevent the stray bullets from going inside. Stray bullets. We didn't have to do that, okay? We sold this house, guys, in 2004, okay? Belongs to, I believe, like 2 different families, sell it, resell it, and just like that, right? Guys, I was here during those 11 days, but remember, we still had to go out, okay? Some days we couldn't go outside. Some days of the last operation, we went outside, go to work, go to school. One of the reasons why my parents and I left this neighborhood, guys, was we lost our uncle during the 21st operation, and we really wanted to leave behind the place, okay? And then I started doing the tours here again in 2019. 5 years, almost 6 years ago, right? So it's very strange because life brings you back to the same place where you were born, okay? Over there, you might remember the first stairs that we saw full of colors. This is the stairs that you saw at the beginning, right? And this is where the artists do a lot of graffitis. This is like indigenous people graffiti right here, right? So guys, I would love to take you inside, but belongs to different people, okay?
Do you have good memories of this house?
Of course, yeah. It's still the same. If you look inside, you can see the bed. Everything still looks the same.
Really?
You know, they haven't changed the inside or the outside, right? And this little pathway will take us directly into the soccer field, guys. The execution area. That's where we're gonna see our last mural, okay? This way, guys.
Wait, if you don't mind me asking, what happened to the uncle? Crossfire?
He was caught in the crossfire. Not in this neighborhood. He was close to the train station neighborhood.
Did any of your family have ties with the guerrillas or no?
No.
Just normal people?
Just innocent people, yeah. Around my childhood home, we were once playing around there.
Yeah.
A little bit before the curfew started, 10 p.m. usually. And the guerrillas, they started confrontations. One of my friends got shot in the legs.
Really?
One of the legs, right leg, I remember.
What, you were melting out to the guerrillas or what? Or just a straight bullet?
No, straight bullet. The
In that little alleyway?
The guerrillas actually started the confrontation before the curfew. Before people were supposed to be in their houses, right? Because during the curfew, anybody outside was considered to be a guerrilla member or gang member.
Yeah.
They would target. This is like the worst thing that I can tell you. And the death of my uncle, who was shot. We tried to save him, but he died 2 days after he arrived to the hospital, actually. 35 years old.
What about trauma, post-traumatic stress from those military operations?
I've had psychological sessions.
Yeah.
Yeah. For 5 years straight.
Really?
5 years after we left this neighborhood, yeah. But now I feel like I overcame that, you know? Overcame this, but it's always in your mind, you know? But it doesn't affect you as much as before.
Did you have any compassion for the guerrillas growing up, or
no? Or the army, because I knew they were also corrupt.
So both were enemies.
They were both the enemies. Anybody with a gun was an enemy, even if they had no uniform. And now, look, so much has changed, you know, so much. Tourism, art. It's crazy to see how much my childhood area has been changed.
Massive transformation.
The escalators. Escalators are symbolical, you know? The escalators don't keep the place at peace. It's the peace agreement between the gangs. But the escalators represent that peace. It brings a lot of people here.
So from the government, the guerrillas, and the gangs, do you like the gangs the most?
No, I don't like any of them.
All bad. Okay.
All bad. All bad.
So you say there's the social stigma from people from here? Like when you tell other people you're from this area, they kind of...
yes, of course. It's not about like, you know, for example, sometimes you say I'm from Comuna 13, you're gonna get a job, that doesn't really affect you anyways. But if you want to make friends and you tell them, hey, I live in Comuna 13, but I know you live in Poblado, it's going to be a social difference, a really big gap. So you might as well just try to make friends in this area of the city. Other people have a higher income, they don't have the same history about violence as you. So yeah, a lot of people just try to stick together with people from this area. A lot of stigma in regards to making social relationships.
My friend, though, with the massive popularity of the commune, a lot of people, the massive popularity of the commune, a lot of people have become famous or big parties are here, so you're not as stigmatized, the people from here?
You mean? I don't understand.
Like now it's like a cool area to be
Yeah.
from. So the rest of the people from Medellin, you mingle in here, you have parties. It's not like a no-go zone no more.
No, of course. You can come. But for parties, this is not a really popular area.
It's not.
For the parties, Poblado, Laureles, better party places.
Gotcha. But a lot of like famous people have came out here now, right? Artists or...
A lot of artists, singers. Of course, the mural artists. We're gonna come this way.
And soccer players?
Soccer player.
Yeah.
You know who comes to the game from here?
Who?
Juan Cuadrado.
No, I don't pay attention to soccer. Is he good?
The Colombian team, yes, pretty good.
Pero igual los boricuas bienvenidos al club, pero al carajo Luma que el 31 los dejó sin luz. Sabemos que son gané con actitud, también a toda la gente que viene de Perú. Saludamos a los causas, lo único